You're fired. Get your cheap, dirty things out of my sight, now. The words from Mr. Thompson, the CEO, cut through the quiet hum of the office like a whip. Maria froze, her heart pounding in her ears. He had just seen a small, worn teddy bear fall from her tote bag as she cleaned his office. He wasn't finished. His lip curled in disgust as he added, "This is a place of excellence, not a daycare for the poor. Security will see you out." Maria felt the blood drain from her face. This job was all she had. It was the thin line that separated her and her 7-year-old daughter, Luna, from total ruin. She lived in a small apartment in a modest Austin neighborhood, and every single dollar from this job went to rent and Luna's expensive asthma medication. For 3 years, she had worked the night shift at Innovate Solutions, scrubbing floors and polishing glass until they gleamed. She was invisible to most, just a part of the building's nightly routine. But not to everyone. Samuel, the elderly janitor who worked on the same floor, always had a kind word for her. He was a quiet man, probably in his late 60s, who moved with a slow, deliberate grace. Sometimes he would give her a small piece of chocolate to take home for Luna. Mr. Thompson, on the other hand, was the king of this castle. He was a man who measured the world in profit margins and brand image. He drove a flashy car and wore suits that cost more than Maria made in a month. He never saw the people who cleaned his office. He only saw the polished surfaces they left behind. That night, the tension was already high. Luna had a bad asthma attack earlier, and Maria's mind was a frantic mess of worries about doctor's bills and the rising cost of her daughter's inhalers. Her hands trembled as she wiped down Mr. Thompson's massive oak desk. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text from her neighbor who was watching Luna. "Her breathing is getting worse. I think you should come home." Pure panic seized her. She spun around, her arm catching the corner of a bizarre twisting metal sculpture on the corner of the desk. It wobbled for a terrifying second before tipping over the edge. It hit the marble floor with a sickening crack that echoed in the silent office. Maria's heart stopped. She stared at the broken pieces, her mind screaming. That sculpture was famous. It was Thompson's pride and joy, a symbol of his disruptive business philosophy. Before she could even think, the office door swung open. Mr. Thompson stood there, his face darkening like a thundercloud. His eyes went from her terrified face to the shattered metal on the floor. A low growl rumbled in his chest. "What did you do?" he whispered, his voice dangerously calm. I'm so sorry, sir. It was an accident. My daughter is sick," Maria stammered, tears already burning her eyes. But Thompson didn't hear her. He only saw his broken trophy and the poor, clumsy cleaner responsible. That's when he exploded. His shouts attracted the attention of a few other employees working late. They peeked out of their cubicles, their faces a mixture of pity and fear. No one dared to intervene. "You are incompetent, useless," he roared. "You think you can just destroy my property and cry about your miserable life? That's it. You're finished." He stabbed a finger at the door. That was when he saw the little teddy bear on the floor next to her bag and delivered his final cruel blow about her being poor. 2 security guards arrived and stood on either side of her. They looked uncomfortable, but their faces were firm. As they walked her out, she passed Samuel in the hallway. He was mopping the floor, and for a moment their eyes met. He gave her a look not of pity, but of deep, unreadable calm, a silent promise she couldn't understand. Maria felt utterly broken. She sat on a cold bus stop bench just outside the gleaming Innotech Tower, the city lights blurring through her tears. She had no job. She had no money for Luna's medicine. The weight of failure was a physical thing, crushing the air from her lungs. A colleague, a kind woman from accounting named Sarah, came out and handed her a $20 bill, whispering that she was sorry before scurrying away, afraid of being seen with her. The gesture was kind, but it felt like a drop of water in the desert. Just as she was about to give in to complete despair, a figure sat down beside her. It was Samuel. He didn't say anything at first. He just held out a steaming cup of coffee from the 24-hour diner across the street. "Drink this," he said softly. "It's cold out here." She took it, her hands shaking. "Thank you, Samuel, but I don't know what I'm going to do." He simply nodded. Then he reached into the pocket of his worn jacket and pulled out a plain white envelope. He placed it in her lap. "Don't you worry about a thing, child," he said, his voice full of a strange authority. "Things have a way of working out for good people." Before she could protest, he stood up, gave her a gentle pat on the shoulder, and walked away into the night. Maria opened the envelope, expecting maybe $100, his savings for the month. Inside, neatly stacked, were 50 crisp $100 bills. $5,000. Tucked aside was a small handwritten note. "For Luna, and for a new start. You are valued." Maria gasped. This was more money than she had seen in her entire life. This had to be his life savings. A wave of guilt and overwhelming gratitude washed over her. She looked up to find him, but he was gone. She used the money immediately. She bought Luna's medication, paid 2 months of rent in advance, and even bought enough groceries to fill their empty pantry. For the first time in years, a small measure of peace settled in her heart. But she couldn't stop thinking about Samuel's incredible sacrifice. A week passed.
At Innovate Tech Solutions, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The story of Maria's firing had spread like wildfire, and morale was at an all-time low. Mr. Thompson seemed even more arrogant, as if to prove that he was untouchable. Then, on Friday morning, an email went out to the entire company. An emergency all-hands meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. in the main auditorium. Attendance was mandatory. Speculation ran wild. Was there a buyout? Layoffs? Thompson walked onto the stage with his usual smug confidence, preparing to announce a major new client. But before he could speak, the side doors of the auditorium opened. The entire board of directors walked in, their faces grim. And walking calmly at their center was Samuel. But he was not wearing his familiar blue janitor's uniform. He wore a perfectly tailored dark gray suit. He looked comfortable, powerful, and completely in charge. The entire room fell into a stunned silence. Thompson stared, his mouth hanging open. He looked from Samuel to the board members, his face turning a sickly shade of pale. Samuel walked directly to the podium, gently moving Thompson aside as if he were a piece of furniture. He tapped the microphone. "Good morning, everyone," Samuel's voice boomed, clear and steady, a voice no one had ever heard before. "For those who don't know me, my name is Samuel Jones. I founded this company 40 years ago." A collective gasp swept through the auditorium. "I stepped down from the CEO role a decade ago," he continued, "but I never truly left. I've been working alongside you, cleaning these floors, to stay connected to the real heart of this company, its people." He paused, and his warm eyes scanned the crowd. "I started this company with one core belief, that our greatest asset is our humanity. We treat each other with respect, with dignity, with compassion. That is the Innovate way." Then his gaze landed on Thompson. His expression hardened. "Unfortunately, it has become clear that our current leadership has forgotten this principle. A leader who values a metal statue more than a struggling mother has no vision. A man who judges a person's worth by the brand of their clothes or the size of their bank account has no place leading this family. He didn't need to say Maria's name. Everyone knew. Therefore, effective immediately, Mr. Thompson's employment with Innovate Tech is terminated. The two security guards who had escorted Maria out now walked onto the stage. They moved toward a speechless, trembling Thompson. As they led him away, his eyes found Maria. Samuel's assistant had brought her there, and she was standing quietly at the back of the room. Their eyes locked for a long second. In his, she saw not anger, but a profound, shattering look of humiliation, shock, and utter regret. Samuel wasn't finished. "And to begin our new chapter," he announced to the cheering crowd, "I am creating a new corporate foundation dedicated to employee welfare and community support. And I am pleased to announce its first director, a woman of incredible strength and integrity, Miss Maria Garcia." He announced a salary that made the entire room gasp again. The applause was deafening. Maria stood there, tears streaming down her face, but this time they were tears of shock, relief, and a joy so immense it felt unreal. She had been seen. She was valued. The lesson we take from this is that true wealth is never in a bank account, but in the kindness you show to others. A person's character is not defined by their job title or the suit they wear. A janitor's uniform can hide a king, and an expensive suit can hide a heart filled with poverty. If this story touched your heart, please leave a like and tell us what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real stories that remind us of what truly matters. Until next time, take care of each other.